Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Wednesday, the 7th of February. Good to have you aboard. Part of the Believe Podcast Network, presented everywhere, as always, by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. We're just 4 days away from the Super Bowl. It's almost here. Look, we've been waiting a week and a half already. It's enough talk. We're at the point now where we're starting to get antsy, right? Let's get to this thing already. You got San Francisco, you got Kansas City. They are in Vegas. They're ready for the championship game. And our partner, BetOnline, is your number one source for football odds, stats, trends, lines, with everything from point spreads to hundreds of bets on everything from the coin toss to the color of the Gatorade to what Taylor Swift's going to be wearing. BetOnline is the number one source for all your championship wagering. Head to BetOnline. Join today to get into all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. So, got a fun day today. Tonight, I'm on ESPN Radio, so make sure you listen. I'm on with my girl Amber Wilson, 7 to 10 p.m. Amber and Ian on ESPN Radio. You can always listen SiriusXM Channel 80. You can listen on the ESPN app. We all have the ESPN app. You pull up the app, you click on live radio, you'll see the logo, Amber and Ian. It's going to be me tonight with the girl Amber Wilson. So you can listen that way. And also, I believe, locally on 106.3 FM West Palm. West Palm. So there you go. Bunch of ways to listen to me tonight. I'm doing ESPN Radio along with Amber tonight, tomorrow, and Friday night, which is really cool because it's Super Bowl week. So we're going to have cool guests. I mean, we're not out there on Radio Row, but we're going to have cool guests. So listen tonight. And sitting in with us tonight, how about this? Ed McCaffrey, former wide receiver. Ed McCaffrey, Christian McCaffrey's father. He's going to be sitting in with us tonight. We're also going to have other guests. So we're going to have fun. I hope you listen. I'm looking forward to it. Always love working with Amber. So as far as what we got going on here, let's get to what took place last night. So a few things to go over. Let's start with the association. Dallas Mavericks beat Brooklyn last night, 119-107. That's not the story, though. The story was Kyrie Irving making his return to Brooklyn. Irving had 36, Doncic had 35. The Mavericks roll. No video tribute. Look, I told you, they did a video tribute for Kevin Durant, what was it, last week and a half ago maybe. No video tribute for Kyrie Irving. In all seriousness, it was lame to have a video tribute for Durant. Have a little bit of self-respect as a franchise. If they would have done a video tribute for Kyrie Irving, the franchise should have been folded. They should contract the Brooklyn Nets. If they were, talk about a cuck franchise. If you did a video tribute for Kyrie Irving, get the hell out of here. The reaction was mixed. Some cheers. I think it was mostly boos, but it wasn't loud boos. He did not get a video tribute. And you know what? The Brooklyn Nets, they skate the way that they did it. This way they could say that they did something. They don't have to come off as, like an asshole organization, even though it would be completely understandable to everybody except other players. They would think that the Brooklyn Nets were being petty. They weren't treating him right. Because that's the way it is in the NBA. You got to make sure all the players are happy. And it would make people unhappy. It would make the players unhappy if they didn't somehow acknowledge Kyrie Irving's return. So what the Nets did, it's a cop-out, but what they ended up doing was they put a picture right before the starting lineups were announced. And because Kyrie Irving, a couple of his teammates, Seth Curry, Marquise Morris, they are returning as well, technically. They were with Brooklyn also. They put a picture of the three of them. A picture, not a video. Put a picture of the three of them up there. Welcome back. Total cop-out, but obviously that allows them to get away with it, saying, see, we were being nice. We were welcoming him back. The Knicks last night won their 10th game in their last 11. They beat Memphis. The big story there, Jalen Brunson got hurt, ankle injury. You'll have more news about that today. The Phoenix Suns, that was one of my picks yesterday on Driving the Line. The Phoenix Suns and Milwaukee Bucks, I had over 243.5, not even close. It only got to 220. The Suns beat the Bucks 114-106. Doc Rivers, as head coach of the Bucks, drops to 1-4. That's your Eastern Conference All-Star head coach. 1-4. I'm telling you, and I said this before Adrian Griffin got fired. This Bucks team ain't shit. They're going to win a lot of regular season games. They're going to win a lot of regular season games. That's what happens when you have Giannis, you have Damian Lillard. Now, Lillard didn't play last night, but when you have a talented club like with Giannis and Lillard, you play a lot of shit teams in the regular season, you're going to win a lot of games. You get to the playoffs, they're going to struggle. This team isn't shit. And how about this news too? Tony Brothers, worst official in the NBA. I don't wish the guy gets hurt, but he is the worst official in the NBA. He had to leave the game he was officiating last night. He suffered an apparent Achilles injury. That's a major injury for a guy his age, for a referee. He sucks, but I don't want him to be hurt. And by the way, as far as the college basketball goes last night, number 3, UNC, upended at home by Clemson, 80-76. So a little bit of what happened there last night, and now we'll get to the important stuff. Now we get to the local stuff. By the way, we did it. I think we're going to start doing this like every couple Wednesdays. You know I love talking about sports media. A couple weeks ago, Jason Barrett at Sports Radio PD on Twitter. He runs the sports media website, barrettsportsmedia.com. He's got the Barrett Sports Media Summit coming up next month in New York City, where all the who's who in the sports media world are there. They're speaking. It's like a big conference. I'm going. I'm going to be there next month. It's like the 6th annual. I haven't been there yet. I'm really looking forward to meeting some people. So get a little FaceTime with some of the bigwigs there. So I'm going up next month. I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, Jason Barrett, who runs Barrett Sports Media, he'll join us again today. He was with us a couple weeks ago. And we do like a sports media segment. So we'll talk about the Super Bowl, possibly going to pay-per-view one day. He's out there on Radio Row, doing hobnob and doing his thing. So we'll get a little scene as far as what's going on Radio Row and that kind of deal. So Jason Barrett, Barrett Sports Media, he will join us again today. And even if you don't think that you're interested in sports media, I find that stuff really interesting. I think you'll still enjoy the conversation. I think you'll still like the spot. So Jason Barrett will join us coming up. Let's start with the Panthers last night. Not a whole lot to say about the Panthers. They lost at home last night, finally back in action. They lost 2-1 to Philadelphia. They went ahead with a first period goal by Carter Verhaeghe. They played a great first period. You wish they would have scored more in that first period. They only got one. They ended up losing 2-1. I'm not sure why Sergei Bobrovsky didn't start. Anthony Stolarz got the start, and he was fine, but I'm not sure why it wasn't Bobrovsky. I thought he was supposed to, and then a little bit before the game, you found that it was Stolarz. So I hope playing the All-Star weekend, it's odd that he didn't play. I'm not sure why he was not in net last night for the Panthers. So they're back in action tomorrow. They're hosting the Washington Capitals, but the Panthers are just fine. There's not a whole lot to say about last night. They lose 2-1, tough loss. The Heat, though, we're very happy about the Heat right now. The Heat, again, for the second time in like the last week, right? They're doing the back-to-back games, both at home, which is weird. So they're home again tonight against San Antonio. Victor Wembanyama. So the Heat fam gets their one and only glimpse of this freak of nature, Victor Wembanyama. So tonight, the Spurs are at the Heat. That's something to watch. I'm doing Amber and Ian. I'll have the Heat game on my TV right here in the ZASLOW Mansion studio, which of course is in the ZASLOW Mansion master bedroom, which of course is just a few feet away from where all the magic happens right there on the bed. So you got Heat and Spurs tonight. Last night, though, the Heat, they beat Orlando. That was one of my picks yesterday on Driving the Line as well. Had the Heat minus 3.5. That was easy. Heat win 121-95. Also, as far as my crew picks, if you want to catch me on Driving the Line, I'm on every Monday. I also did yesterday. Go to youtube.com/@drivingtheline, and my guy Jonathan Coachman and Alan Bell, they're on live every day on YouTube at 10 a.m. So that's a new thing that I'm part of now, which I'm excited about. So I also, one of my picks yesterday, I gave you 3 picks, went 2-1. One of my picks there, my crew exclusive pick was Jimmy Butler over 18.5 points. And Jimmy, middle of the third quarter, was stuck on 13. It was a 10-point game. Back-to-back threes for Jimmy and a basket at the rim. 8 straight points. So my Jimmy Butler 18.5 goes over. He finished the game with 23. That put him at 21. He finished with 23 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. And what was a 10-point lead The Heat were up double figures the whole game. The Magic cut it to 10 there with like 7 minutes left. So it was a 10-point game, immediately jumped to an 18-point game. The Heat never looked back. So there you have it. Great job by Jimmy. Terry Rozier, who is starting to look more and more comfortable. 18 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. What a pleasure it is to have this guy, to have someone on the team who, A, looks like they enjoy being here, and B, is an actual threat on the offensive side of the ball. You were playing 4-on-5 when you had Kyle Lowry, most unlikable player in Heat history. And now Terry Rozier, he's young, he gets at the basket, he can create, make his own shots, he hustles on both ends of the floor, he's a dog. I love watching this Terry Rozier. What a major improvement from that bum Kyle Lowry that we had to watch for 2.5 years. I mean, and by the way, it's been like a week and a half since I've even mentioned the name Kyle Lowry. I hope I go the rest of the year without mentioning him. But what a pleasure it is to not have to watch that guy play basketball anymore. And then on top of it, Terry Rozier is the guy who, is under contract for another 2.5 years. So the fact that we were able to flip Kyle Lowry, that bum, for someone who is actually a difference maker, I really like where the Heat are at right now. I think the Heat are in a good spot, and I don't think it's a coincidence, by the way. It's not a coincidence that they have a team meeting, all right? And Jimmy Butler stands up in this team meeting, and all of a sudden, the Heat are playing a lot better. The Heat had the team meeting after 7 losses in a row. And since then, 3-1, but not just 3-1. You knew, like I mentioned this after they had the team meeting going into the Sacramento game, they lost 7 in a row. 8 losses in a row, I don't need that shit in my life. Everybody knows that. But when Jimmy gets up in that meeting and he gets aggressive and he says things that need to be said, you know what that means. This team likes that type of adversity. They thrive on the uncomfortableness. And it also meant that Jimmy is going to have to put his money where his mouth is. Because Jimmy coasts through the first half of the regular season. We've seen this before. And now, clearly, it is not a coincidence that the Heat are 3-1 since that meeting and looking like a completely different team while Jimmy is being very aggressive. While Jimmy is taking these games seriously. Last 4 games. Last 6 games, Jimmy's numbers have been big. But I'm going to give you the last 4 games because those are the games since the team meeting when they snapped the losing streak, okay? And that's when you knew Jimmy was going to start to get serious again. So, last 4 games since the team meeting, Jimmy is averaging 24.8 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 59.6% field goals. He's 7 of 13 from 3, and he's averaging 10 free throws a game. It's not a coincidence that this team looks so much better right now. We're at the point of the season where Jimmy's got to stop fucking around. And when you get Jimmy playing like a superstar, that's when the rest of the Eastern Conference notices, and they're like, oh shit, I don't want to play Miami in the playoffs. That's where we're at right now. So I really like what's going on with the Heat at the moment. I think they're at a good spot. And we got the trade deadline coming up tomorrow. I don't expect the Heat to do anything. I do think they should move Caleb Martin because they're not going to keep him. The emergence of Jaime Jaquez Jr. and even Haywood Highsmith didn't play last night. And when I say Haywood Highsmith didn't play last night, I mean he only came in garbage time in the last couple minutes. But they have guys who can replace him. And even the reemergence of Duncan Robinson. You can't pay Caleb Martin. So for the Heat, it's about, do you want to make a move for long term and move Caleb Martin and get something in return? Or do you say, you know what? We're going to lose him, our choice. We're going to lose him, but maybe it's worth it because we believe what he gives us in the playoffs can help us win a championship right now. That's a tough decision for the team to make. And by the way, speaking of Jaime Jaquez Jr., he's starting to look a lot closer to what he looked like before the injury. He got hurt, missed 4 or 5 games, hasn't looked the same since. Last night he started to look like that guy again. Had 12 points, hit 1 or 2 threes. He had been struggling shooting the ball. Last night, Jaime started to look again like the guy he was before he got hurt, which is not a surprise. You're a rookie. You hit a little bit of a wall, but it coincided with him missing time because of the injury. It looks like he is rounding back into form right now. So you love to see it. All right. So the Heat back in action tonight against San Antonio. First and only visit of the season for Victor Wembanyama. And the Heat are looking, let me check what, I don't have it off the top of my head. I should know. Well, if the Heat were 24-23, they're out. So 26-24. Does that make sense? That's what the Heat's record is right now. Let me see. 27-24. I was shortchanging them. Shame on me. So 27-24 now. They're one back in the loss column at number 6, which is where you want to be. You want to get into that top 6 so you avoid the play-in. And San Antonio, worst record in the Western Conference, 10-40. But Greg Popovich apparently is the greatest coach ever. Okay, make it make sense. I'll tell you what makes sense, and that's sleeping on Sheets and Giggles. That's right, sheetsgiggles.com. The only bed sheets you're going to hear me recommending to you here on ZASLOW Show 2.0. Not just because my man Colin, founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles, is helping the environment, keeping it safe, while also making sure that we're getting the best sleep of our lives, but it's because, hey, we're also talking super affordable sheets here. And it's the softest, coolest, most breathable sheets out there. This is one less thing you got to worry about. You go to sheetsgiggles.com and you're set. You're going to be one of over 100,000 Americans who are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles and never turning back. I got the eucalyptus pillow. You could purchase the eucalyptus mattress at sheetsgiggles.com. I got the comforter, the blankets. I sleep so well. I mean, if I lie down on my bed just to watch TV in the middle of the day, it's nap time, baby. But at night, I'm laying my head down on that eucalyptus pillow. Oh, and I'm like, thank you, Sheets and Giggles. Thank you so much. And if it's your first time going to sheetsgiggles.com, use promo code ZASLOW. You'll get 20% off your first order at checkout. sheetsgiggles.com, promo code ZASLOW, 20% off. So, a few days away here from the Super Bowl. Let's do a little bit, all right? And by the way, yesterday, got a great response from Michelle Smallman from ESPN Radio, Unsportsmanlike, joining the show. If you missed that, you can go to youtube.com/@ZASLOWShow. You can watch the interview. We video the whole show. I only post like my opening of the show every day. Then I want you to listen to the podcast because that's what's most important. But all interviews, I post the entirety of an interview on the YouTube page, youtube.com/@ZASLOWShow. Michelle Smallman was great yesterday. We did a lot of Super Bowl talk with her, fun behind the scenes stuff, ESPN Radio. So go check her out. Got a lot of positive response over that. And we're going to we'll do some sports media coming up in a few minutes here with Jason Barrett. But first, what I want to do is, going into the game on Sunday. There's a bunch of different storylines. Taylor Swift is center stage. Like, this Super Bowl is going to be remembered for Taylor Swift, no matter what happens. Purdy wins, Niners get, which would be their 6th Super Bowl. Andy Reid wins again. Mahomes, Brady, all that stuff. This Super Bowl, no matter what, is going to be remembered for Taylor Swift. This will be the Taylor Swift Super Bowl. That's how we're all going to remember this, like it or not. But actually talking about the game, there's a little bit of pressure, all right? There's pressure on a bunch of different guys. But the level of pressure, that's to be determined. That's to be discussed, I should say. Top 5 players/coaches with the most pressure on them this Super Bowl. Let's do it. Yes, got my NFL music here. That means it's serious business. Top 5 players/coaches with the most pressure on them to win this weekend. Number 5, Andy Reid. Now we're counting backwards from 5 to 1 for dramatic purposes. Number 5, Andy Reid. And the reason Andy Reid is even up there is because, well, look, he's a big name head coach, and this is also like legacy type stuff for him. He's in the Super Bowl for the, let's see, he's 2-1 so far. 5th appearance in the Super Bowl, 0-1 in Philadelphia. He's 2-1 so far with Kansas City. So can he join another exclusive club? 3 Super Bowl wins. But otherwise, I don't feel like there's much pressure on Andy Reid. It is interesting where his time in Philadelphia and clock management, that was a big thing. But his time in Philadelphia, it was thought of that he can't win big. And you look at him now, this is not a small thing. To have this much success, really with 2 franchises. look, you look at Bill Belichick, did a whole lot of winning with Tom Brady. The most ever winning with Tom Brady. Did shit otherwise. Andy Reid's made it happen with obviously got to Super Bowl McNabb, had success with Alex Smith, and now major success with Pat Mahomes. If you want to make an argument for Andy Reid being better than Bill Belichick, I'm willing to hear that argument. Number 4, Travis Kelce with the most pressure. Now, I don't think there's a ton of pressure on Kelce, but he likely wants to avoid that whole narrative of, was he thinking too much about Taylor Swift? Was, throughout the week, was he distracted and all of that deal? Also, while Travis Kelce's had a very good postseason, that's only been 3 games. The regular season numbers were way down, so conversation about are his best days behind him. Number 4 pressure, Travis Kelce. Number 3, Patrick Mahomes. Now, the pressure that Patrick Mahomes faces is, if he's going to catch Brady, if we're going to have a conversation about greatest of all time, and you believe that number of Super Bowl wins plays a major part in that, you can't squander chances. You can't squander opportunities. He only has 2. He has 2. He's 5 behind Brady. Now, getting to a 4th Super Bowl is an incredible accomplishment in and of itself. But if you're going to catch Brady, you need to win these Super Bowls before you turn 30. I mean, Brady won 3 really early in his career. I think he was 30 when he won his 3rd. Mahomes, I believe, is 28 or 29. This would be number 3. If he has any chance of catching Brady, you can't squander this opportunity in your early years. Number 2, the most pressure, Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan's already been to a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator. His team blew a 28-3 lead. He took a lot of heat. We talked about it a couple days ago when Damon Amendola joined us on the show. He's already been to the Super Bowl as head coach of the Niners. They blew a 10-point lead early in the 4th quarter to these Kansas City Chiefs. If Shanahan loses this game, fair or not fair, he's going to get a reputation as a coach who can't win big. And number 1, the most pressure this Sunday is on Brock Purdy. Yeah, that's right. Now, I don't think it's fair, because think about this. If Brock Purdy was a top pick in the draft and he's in the Super Bowl his 2nd year, the outcome of the game would not matter. We'd all be saying, wow, franchise quarterback, home run pick. This is why he was selected at the top of the draft. In just his 2nd year, he's already in the Super Bowl. Look at Joe Burrow. But somehow, because he was the last pick in the draft, he has to win the Super Bowl now in his 2nd year. It's completely unfair. Because otherwise, this is why he was the last pick in the draft. He's not a long-term guy. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's being helped by everybody else on that roster. Just because of where he was selected is why we talk about him the way we talk about him. Completely unfair. But as a result, there's a lot on the line here for Purdy, including money. I always look at the money in spots like this too. And if Purdy performs well and they win this Super Bowl, it's going to result in a massive payday. So that alone means the most pressure in Super Bowl this Sunday is on Brock Purdy. And that right there is your list of top 5 players/coaches who have the most pressure on them this Sunday.